God, it's Bubbies.
Welcome to the third episode of Bubbies.
Hello, everybody.
I am your right wheel, Russell.
And I'm Ian. I'm the back right wheel.
Okay. So, do we just go in a big circle?
We can't go. We're defunct.
Okay. It is Friday the 20th. I hope everyone has an awesome Friday. Friday's really fun. I hope everyone has an awesome weekend. I know I will. Saturday is my R&R day. And nope, I don't mean rest and relaxation. I mean rest and role play.
Rest and role play.
Rest and role play. And I know what you're thinking. And the answer is yes to both.
What were you thinking?
Role play in the bedroom and role play with a bunch of dudes being nerds at a table.
I was just thinking D&D.
Oh, okay. Well, I figured at least one person would be like, "Oh, tee hee hee, Russell's gonna do a sex," and you're right, friend. I probably am.
So, what are your D&D games? How do they tend to go?
I really enjoy D&D, and I say D&D, but I've actually never played Dungeons and Dragons. I have always played. Well, you were there when I first started out.
Yes.
You were actually like one of my first players, and it was Pathfinder, which I grew to hate, and now I play strictly GURPS, which is the greatest. That's right, Bubbies.
Sponsored by GURPS.
Bubby advocates for GURPS, the best role-playing system out there. GURPS is great. It's super simple.
I haven't played it yet still.
GURPS is super, because like Pathfinder's fun and all, but like Pathfinder and the D&D and all that stuff, that was first, right? Like D&D was first.
Yes.
And that's fine. I feel like I always have to say that's fine because people get like upset whenever I talk about anything.
Let's just assume that whenever Russell says something, he means it's fine.
It's fine. It's
It'll
fine.
save
I
us
swear
the
it's
trouble.
fine. But so now video games are way more prevalent than back then. So video games are, the spawn of tabletop games, because way back when people played pretend, they used their imagination, and then slowly nerds showed up. And they were like, hey, let's make this even more fun by making it more, realistic, as in let's add some rules. Let's not just have people running around with sticks saying, I got you. How about we give people different, like, numbers to represent what they're good at? And then slowly we got to, tabletop, and then we got to board games, and then we got to video games.
Video games.
V games. And that's where we're at now, is V games.
Any RPG is kind of like Dungeons and Dragons.
Every RPG is exactly like Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons, because in Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and similar systems that are strictly for fantasy, you have to pick a class, you have to pick a race, you have to do this, you have to do that, and there's very specific guidelines to follow, kind of like a video game. Whereas, and that was fine for a long time. I really do like Pathfinder, but I grew to get bored of it because it kind of got a bit repetitive. And also, I've discovered that I am not the type of role player. I've noticed that there's a lot of different types of people that, geek out for different reasons. And I found out that I'm kind of the lamest type of geek. I like geeking out about like politics and I don't mean like, our politics. I mean like just like the word politics. I like geeking out about like, oh, where does the water supply come from? Oh, since pyromancy exists, do we even have stoves? Like just like the small little pedantic details about the world is what I geek out about. So I tend to lean towards a more realistic, as in how realistic can we make this if magic and elves and all that was real? Whereas I've noticed that there's a lot of players, and I've had players jump on in my games and get kind of like, oh, like they weren't big fans of it because they wanted, to have like the classic adventure where we actually talked about this in episode 1. They kind of want it to be more of a fantasy, as in stuff doesn't make sense. And I try to make everything make sense, and maybe I do that too much. Maybe I don't.
Well, you're just the biggest super nerd on the face of the planet, and nobody wants to deal with that.
You're probably right. Funny story, actually. That game, that my first game DMing with you, we had 2 girls at the table too, right?
Yes.
And so D&D and tabletop RPGs has always been, a geeky thing, right? It's definitely not something where it's like, hey girl, I DM, and they're like, oh, they're like, whoa, Spike. What's a cliche like jock name?
Chad
last name. What's the last name?
Chad Broseph.
Yeah, I'm Chad Broseph. I'm a DM, and they're like, oh my god.
What's up, girl? I play Dungeons and Dragons on the weekend. You want to get in my Ferrari?
Yes, Chad. Yes. Chad Broseph. Yes, Chad. Hey, girl, roll this dice. If you crit, you can.
Bubbies.
But yeah, no. So I discovered something very strange. Because we had those two girls out there, and like they weren't really like I don't want to name them, but like they're not super geeky, right? One of them was very obviously not super geeky, and that's why I've never played with her ever again, because she just sat there and I was like, hey, so the shopkeeper's asking you this, and she goes, what? Where are we? Like,
What's going on?
But they both told me after the game was over that they got like aroused because of like my DMing.
It's very strange,
and that was extremely weird to me. And I wonder if that has something to do with like some sort of like primal instinct of like. And I looked this up, and apparently it happens a lot. It's not just a weird thing. There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, and like there's a lot of like self-admission I've seen. Like I've seen women online and like in videos and stuff go like, yeah, I don't know what it is, but like whenever a player tries to do something and the DM says like no or like controls the situation, it like triggers something, and it's so weird. And I want to know the science behind. That's weird. I want to know the science behind that.
Ladies, none of you who listen, please write in. Tell us your stories where a DM has done something and you got wet.
It's just like it's so. I wonder if it triggers some sort of like, and I don't know. It's so hard to like. It's so like dangerous to like make assumptions over like how
it might be something lizard brain related.
Yeah, like it's so dangerous to like and ignorant to like assume how you think based solely on your sex. But I want to know, like, what is it about like the female brain that like gets triggered by like a man acting like he is God?
And it's usually men, isn't it? DMs are hardly ever. I don't think I've ever seen a female DM in any medium at all. I've never online.
Seen. We need more women representation.
More women.
We need more women.
Creative.
We need more women DMing. It's horrible. Male DMs get paid more than female DMs.
They get paid more free money. I think that we probably just need more female creativity in general. We need that sort of thing in movies. It's growing, but it's growing too slowly. We need more female creativity in D&D. We've got I would say plenty of it in books, but I haven't read many in recent times to see if it's like another J.K. Rowling or if it's something actually influential.
Well, I feel like it's real. I feel like it's there, but I think the problem that comes with that is that, and I guess we're just always going to go back to movies, is that I have noticed a trend that whenever, a movie is made to try to amend that issue of having more women focused movies, it's never an original idea. And I don't think it's because, I don't think there's like a committee of women sitting around going like, this is how we should do things. I'm pretty sure that the industry just is scared to let women have the reins. So they try to just take something that's already successful and then just like replace. Because like Ocean's whatever is coming out. Ocean's what?
I don't know.
There's a new Ocean's movie coming out.
7?
Ocean's Number is coming out soon. And it's just an Ocean's 11 remake, but they're all women. So it's an all women heist. Which we can get really funny about that and just prove how sexist we are, because that is just prime joke material.
I have no jokes for it. I am not a sexist. It's interesting they did that with.
Thanks.
They did that with the new Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, that was.
It seems like
flop.
Something that they that the Hollywood producers try and do is sort of pick something that we're familiar with, and then to try and ease audiences into it. They like girlify it, so they took Ghostbusters.
I thought you said gorillify it.
Yes, gorillify it. Turn everyone into a gorilla, a female gorilla. No, they take women and they like convert characters that were traditionally male roles into women usually in like a blanket fashion, like all the Ghostbusters, all the Oceans, blah, 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 tropes and cast. It never tends to work out because it's like you said, it's a rehash of something that's already been done, but with a gimmicky twist on it. And because it's got a gimmicky twist on it, there's no real heart or anything into it, despite what they may say in the promotionals. Whereas something like, did you ever go see, I never saw this movie. What was it called? It was the one about the bubble, and inside of the bubble was like mutated things.
Oh my gosh. Annihilation.
Yes, Annihilation was a movie that had pretty much an all-female cast, and it was an original concept, and it was very good. It gets exceptional reviews. The characters are well thought out. They're developed. They're human. There's no gimmick to all of them being women. It just sort of...
They just are.
You are the top in your field. And nobody went to see it. And what does that tell us?
That maybe it's not the industry, and that maybe it's just society as a whole.
That maybe society is not ready for just an all-female movie. Because if they had advertised it to be, something with a standout all-female cast... it would have gotten shunned by an entire group of people who are against that sort of thing, like you and me, who don't like it when they use gender dominance as a marketing tool. Yeah, no, and then you've also attracted the attention of these crazy feminist SJWs, blah 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 blah, and they really praise it, and then they hammer in your face how good it is. And no matter how good the movie may actually be, that's excrucially annoying. And then you get the opposite. It doesn't solve any problems.
You get the opposite spectrum where you have like the beta males come out of the woodwork with their fedoras and their button-up shirts, even though it's 90 degrees outside, and they're just like, my foreskin. And it's like, what are you even here for? Why are you, what? And they're like, women should be house pets. And it's like, you're retarded. Those people exist, man. And they come out in full force whenever, because the Ghostbusters movie, horrible. I knew it was going to be horrible. I knew it was going to be a horrible idea. Yeah. But whenever I said, hey, Ghostbusters is going to suck, I always had 7 guys pop out of their closet and be like, yeah, Russell's on it. And no, just kidding. Whoa, no, please don't. I don't want to get associated with you guys. Yeah.
And then that's another point into it, is that when you polarize an issue unnecessarily, like Annihilation, you end up pushing away all of the people who ride the middle ground. Everyone who would have gone seen it that's sort of middling on an issue or don't even care about it.
Everyone who rides the middle ground, that's like us.
Yeah, they would stay away from it, far away from it. And it made no money for it. So what do we do?
Which sucks. And I mean, that goes back to what we were talking about last podcast. It's just people don't go to the movies to see unfamiliar things. True. They want to go to the movies to see Infinity War 7, Spider-Man featuring Dante from Dante's Inferno.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Nick Cage is going to be a Spider-Man.
Don't even talk about that.
But Nick Cage is my hero.
I don't like that. You need better heroes.
He's related to Francis Ford Coppola.
Is he?
Yeah, his real last name is Coppola. His name is Nicholas Coppola.
Okay, it does not surprise me now that Cage is not a...
It's not a real name.
Wow, I feel stupid now that you point that out. Yeah, who would have a Nick Cage? That sounds like such a this summer.
Well,
Nick Cage is bicycle robot.
It was invented back in the 80s and early 90s, so it makes more sense then. Nicolas Cage. He is a good actor. He just doesn't give a fuck.
I think Nick Cage,
which is why I like him.
I think Nick Cage is a good actor. It's just that he's so...
He's not very choosy with what he likes to go ham, and so he likes to pick projects where he can go ham.
He looks a lot like my uncle, and that's why he does. No, when I watched Kick-Ass, and that whole scene where he's obviously Batman, and it's just it's Nick Cage doing flips and shooting people in the face, but he's got the same facial structure and voice as one of my uncles. And so I'm just sitting there and he's got the mask on, so he literally covers the hair and the ears, which are the only features that don't match it. So then I'm just literally seeing my uncle whop, just murdering people, and I'm just ooh. What movie is it from that the most used Nicolas Cage gif? where he is like, he has like the gun or whatever, and he's like, he's like trying not to laugh. What is that from?
That could be from a lot of things. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well that's also just very Nick Cage. Nick Cage reminds me a lot of Jared Leto because he's not like he has too much confidence where it's like, hey, you need to be edgy, and then it's just Nick Cage trying to be edgy, and it's not connecting with me that he is edgy. Like, he does not look like an edgy person. So when he tries to act edgy, I just laugh because it's kind of a meme.
Not the bees.
Bubbies.
Let's take it back to D&D though, because we talk about movies too much. I want to know what your opinions are on D&D. And because you enjoy playing it, obviously. You're not as big as a player as I, but everyone enjoys a good D&D story, and I think you have some funny ones.
My opinion of D&D, I think that D&D is best enjoyed as not something that you take really seriously, but you still have to put your effort into it. So you have to build the character, you have to give them a backstory, you have to care a little bit about them, so that once you get out into the field of imagination, you can go and screw with everyone and make some funny memes. Like I told you this story. The first time I made a character, he was a human fighter. I decided to make him a bastard, and he was a slave trader, and he was in town for some sort of other business, so he needed to go adventuring. And he hooked up with these other adventurers, the other players, and they needed a place to stay the night. That was like the first challenge. I was like 16, and everyone else was like younger than that. And we go into this establishment, and weirder things have happened. I got the rolls before, I got super schmammered, super smashed, and was nearly to the point of not speaking. I had to be carried by the big dragonborn lizard man next to me, and they go into the innkeeper, and they're like, how much for a room? And the innkeeper's like, oh, it'll be 5 gold. And then they are like, the party decides that they're going to do a negotiation, even though they have plenty of money to cover the bill.
Because that always happens.
I love that. And so they're like, but what if it wasn't 5 gold? What if it was 2? And then they rolled, and the elf that was with us, who was supposed to be a smooth talker and a magician, rolled a 2. And so the answer was, how dare you ask me to lower my price? I'm going to raise it 7 gold. And we were like, oh shit. And then it's the other guy's turn. He was an elven archer, and he's like, oh, but sir, we haven't got all that money. Here, would you let us stay in here for 3 gold? And then he rolled another like really, really low number, like a 5. And he's like, how dare you? 13 gold. And so that would go on and on and on forever. It went around like 4 times. They always skipped me. And eventually it got to the point where the innkeeper was so pissed off that he had raised the price of admission for a room per night to 50 gold, which is a ridiculously high number. And then they were about to give up because they kept rolling really bad. But they decided, like, Ian, you should try and convince him. And I'm like, my character can barely speak, but okay. And so the DM's like, what's your argument here? And I'm like, my argument. And then I rolled, and it was a nat 20. and then so the story was that the innkeeper stopped everything that he was doing. A tear welled up in his eye, and he wiped it away with his finger. And he said, I understand your friend here. Not what he's saying, but my friend is also retarded. Here,
oh, no.
You can have the room. Just take it. Oh, by the way, we're out of rooms, so it's the lover's suite. And so we went into the lover's suite, and we all had to cram in there, all like 5 of us. And there was a bed that was in the shape of a heart and had red sheets, and the walls were pink. And
hell yeah!
But there was a rug there, and there was like a spread of food and everything, and we were just like, this is weird. Where is everyone else gonna sleep? And then they kept sending up minstrels to our room.
Hell yeah!
So that we could have some nice romantic music, but we kept murdering them because we did not want any music. So, and then the guy just kept sending minstrels up, so we just had to start hiding like 7 minstrels underneath the rug and in the closets. But that's
how many minstrels did they have?
No, they had lots.
It's infinite
minstrel. So that's the sort of thing that I really, really love about D&D, the goofy shit that goes on. I find it very difficult to actually pull off anything truly epic and magnificent. Like, you're not going to have it's very rare that you have like a final fight Naruto-esque battle in Dungeons and Dragons. It's happened, but I can barely remember any of the details of them, where all of my funny memes I remember extremely well.
Yeah, I do appreciate the funny moments, but I am definitely, like I previously stated, I try to shoot for the like epics. I try to shoot for like the arching, stories. I try to make it as like cinematic as possible, because yes, it's a game, but I am, like you said, the biggest type of geek, and I guess there are others because I have a consistent player base, but it's a lot more work, but it really pays off, I think, because like, I have a player who, like we neither of us have, played his character, because you were actually in that campaign, my Golden Lion campaign.
Oh yes.
Cole, who played Fang in that campaign with you, like that campaign happened fucking 4 years ago, almost 3, actually, I think. Yet he still like remembers everything about that campaign, like the funny and the cinematic, just because it was such a good campaign for everyone involved. And I think it takes a lot of work to do that, but I think that definitely pays off. And I feel like it is worth shooting for, but every now and then I also do want to. I also enjoy like the goofs, because I've got plenty of goofs myself. I don't play often. I'm usually just GM, but I played once and I was a little like, I was a half elf, but I made myself purposely short. I made myself like 5 foot, so 5 foot half elf, and I limited myself to only my fists. Because I had little man syndrome, so I had to like constantly beat people up to like remind them that just because I'm small, you can beat me up. Because I can never succeed in actually winning any fights. But like every little, and like so there was a lot of fun moments with him. Because like a guard would be like, hey, you're short, and I'd be like, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like start like punching his shins, like I'm gonna kick your ass, and like start punching his shins and stuff, and then I get thrown in jail and stuff, and like that stuff is always fun as well. But I think the best thing to do, which is what actual stories do, is mix the two. Because like every great story has both humor and like drama. Oh, Sasuke,
come back to the village. I remember when I did my epic campaign where I arbitrarily made everybody level 20. You guys didn't funny it up as much as I thought. You had bird fucker over there who was like, I'm a bird.
Yeah, dude, I was a bird, man. I literally brought pepperoni in a bag to our first session as like bird snacks, and it was like like ate my bird snacks.
There were the other. How many people did we have? Did we only have?
It was
3?
just 3.
The other 2 didn't really dig into the funny as much as I would, because when you've got ultimate power, what do you want to do with it? You want to have fun with it.
You want to goof off.
And so we'd go to realms and we'd see fantastic things, sure, but there wasn't a whole lot of funniness going on.
Not a whole lot of goofs.
I intended for there to be some spook with the main bad guy.
Oh, we were spooked.
I intended for there to be some sadness in there somewhere, which sort of didn't quite work out because you let the princess die.
Yeah, no, because you spooked us too good.
Yeah,
let me tell the listeners what happens. So we're all level 20, and we go to this like forest region.
They are legends in their realms. In the different areas, Russell's character is like this crazy birdman in these isles called the Isles of Death. And it's just an island full of savage sub-races, and he's made a name from that remote location in a sort of medieval time setting. So he's a legend, and everyone else in there is also a legend.
I would literally, because I was a human, but my favorite thing to do, and when the system we were playing was Pathfinder, my favorite thing to do in Pathfinder was go ape with, like, the perks.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a perk that you could take if you were human, called racial heritage, because, like, humans, like to mingle with everything, if you know what I mean. And so, like, you could effectively pick another racial perk of any race. So even though I was human, I could take Tengu feats, which is Pathfinder's bird, like crow race. Mm-hmm. So even though I was physically human, I took the perk that let me take Tengu perks. So then I just flooded myself with bird perks. So even though I was human, I could legally technically fly, and I could legally technically turn into like a giant crow. And so I just made that, like, I took that and ran with it, and, like, made that my backstory, that I was, like, some cursed human that could, like, turn into a crow.
Made a bird.
And so I would, like, my like, backstory was that, like, these pirates would always try to come and, like, take slaves, and I would just dive bomb them as this fucking crow monster.
Bird hero.
Literally Birdman. But, so what happens is that it's me and these two other heroes of equal caliber, and so then Ian describes literally like a Cthulhu god, like just this giant, ominous, dark creature that's bigger than a mountain. Just like, and like there's like people, like was it trees hanging off of him?
Yes,
or was it
he had trees with people hanging on
them.
So
this thing has trees hanging off of him, and then there's people in nooses hanging off. They weren't even they were just gourd, were they?
Yeah, they were just hooks.
So it's like, so he's like, oh yeah, so there's this giant thing that's bigger than a mountain. It has trees hanging off of it, and then hanging off the trees is humans, and then hanging off the humans are bugs that they're screaming, fuck you, just like, and so like we're just sitting there like we're all level 20 and we can do anything, but you like described that with so much like threat that we were like he was like, oh, aren't you heroes? We were like, no.
I had it so that a character was going to be also in that same location that they were at, and the big baddie picked her up along with the rest of the ground under her and held her hostage. And he said, "You are heroes, right? Are you going to try and do the heroic thing and save her life?"
And we were like, "No, you go ahead." All three of us in unison were like, "No, you go ahead, man. You do you."
Okay, squish.
And we were like, "All right, cool."
Starts raining blood. And then it was really awkward afterward when you met her in the sort of pseudo afterlife, and she was totally fine.
Yeah, it all worked out.
It was okay in the end. I wish that there was more funny to go around with that, though. The funniest thing that I remember from that is that Mike, he didn't understand. He couldn't like wrap his brain around the sort of Elysian society that I had made, because like I think immediately after that you guys got like force teleported to some sort of. I can't remember what they called it.
You took us to like a communist world where like,
I took you to the realm of all good. So instead of not the one that's all bad, which I think is Gehenna, I took you to the exact opposite of that. I took you north, and so it was like, how do I make this the most like pleasant, happy, good place ever? Oh, there's no money. Because the source of all evil is money, and so you can just go around in the marketplaces and just like pick things up that you need, and everyone's very pleasant about it, and yeah, that sort of thing.
And he was like, "How does this work?"
Yeah, and his brain was like, he's like, "I want this spoon," because there was a spoon shop salesman, and he was like, "I want to buy this spoon," and he's like, "Okay, go ahead, all right, here you go," and he's like, "How much is it?" He's like, "I don't understand what you mean." And he's like, "How much money do I pay you?" And he's like, "What is money?" And he's just like, "Ah!
Equal exchange of goods."
How do I work? I love D&D. I haven't played it much. I haven't played D&D much in recent years.
Yeah,
because
it's been a while, man.
Because it's too busy, and it takes a lot of time.
It does.
I also sort of get impatient with it when everyone else is going really, really slow. So
I feel you on that one. See, that's why I don't really play. I actually kind of like admitted something to my players. I was like, hey guys, so like I hate playing. I hate playing. I just do. Every time I play, I have fun, but in the back of my mind, I'm like there's a little voice going like, we could do something different, and I'm just like, and I guess that's just that's just the artist in me being, that's just the critic that I constantly am because I'm cursed by God or something. So I'm just like, we could do this better, and I'm like, shut up, I'm trying to have fun. It's like, no, you can't have fun. You gotta have fun. It's not even a map. And I'm just like,
oh jeez.
And I'm just like, shut up, little voice. And it's like, it's not even in color. And I'm like, shut up.
It's not even in color.
Shut up.
This is a black and white campaign.
This is just you using bottle caps. And I'm like, yeah, because that's all we need, voice. And my voice is just like, no, we should spend $100 on making this. But, and so I kind of admitted, I was like, and I think it's just, that's how it is. There's people that like to play and they're really good at being players because like, I'm definitely not going to name names, but like I have a player who's a really good player, but I've played in his games before and they're just kind of like it's just like, it's kind of a snore because it's kind of just your normal, like, it's like, oh, there's orcs now. Cool. Or all there's elves now. Cool. And then, I try to ask like really pedantic questions about the world and they don't have them because they didn't think that deep. And that's, again.
Or you do like me and you think of it on the fly.
Yeah. And, and like even if you could just give it to me on the fly, that'd be great. But like, it takes a lot for me because I'm a difficult person to enjoy being with. But like, it takes a lot for me to like really get invested in something. And so that's why I usually just make it my own stuff. Mm-hmm. And I guess that makes me a son of a bitch. But everyone's happy when I'm the DM. So I'm just going to always be the DM, I guess.
You know what else is a fun game?
What?
Poker. We need to do that.
Yes, we need to play poker. We need to get the boys together. We need to...
You need to share me some pro strats.
Oh, yeah. I need to like teach you how to play poker. I love poker, man. I won like $50 playing poker once. It was a fun time.
Wow. $50.
Well, I mean, I'm not
a schmuck.
I'm not gonna play at the big tables yet. I hardly have money. I love casinos. God, I love casinos. I love the aesthetic and the allure of casinos so much. I could spend eternity in a casino. Me and Sarah were in one, and we were both just having a blast. And like I was so in love with her because I gave her a big bucket of quarters. She went over to the quarter machine and she just sat there like she was so content with life. We were little quarters. She's putting quarters in the quarter. It's like the Chuck E. Cheese machine where you put the token in and it pushes the tokens down.
Oh,
and if you push the tokens down, you like get tickets or whatever. It's literally that, but you could just get to keep the quarters. So she would like pop in 1 quarter, pop in 2 quarters, pop in 3 quarters, and then like 7 would fall. And so it's like the most baby tier like gambling, but it's adorable, and I loved what she was just sitting there with her little dress and she's just putting the quarters. I loved it. It was amazing. Meanwhile, I'm over at the fucking craps table. Uh-oh. And the guy's going. The guy is like, because we were really young, because like you can't gamble in the States unless you're, I think 20.
I think 21.
21. So we were I can't remember where, but we were in another country and it was legal there because we were both 18. And the guy goes, "Are you Swedish?"
Are you Swedish?
And my dumb ass goes, "No, I'm from Tennessee." And he goes, "Where the fuck is that?" And I'm just like, "Oh, it's in America." And he's just like, "Oh, everything makes sense now."
Yeah. Are you Swedish?
God, I love casinos though.
Bubbies.
But guess what? I'm excited for, Ian.
What's that?
We got a new segment on Bubbies.
Oh shit! A segment.
New segment.
Bubbies segment.
New segment. Bubbies segment. Bubbies questions, dude. We need to do a theme song for this, but we'll worry about that next time.
Yeah, we will worry about that next time.
Fucking new Bubbies sequence. No. Yes.
Yes, a segment.
Segment. That's the word I'm looking for.
A new episode of Bubbies.
Welcome to it's Friday. No. Okay, so I'm super excited. I love this guy so much. This is Joey. We got a message from Joey. The title of the email: "Doctors hate me." Great start. I'm already in love. I have a question to ask you guys for the podcast. If you could start a cult, what would you teach your followers? Where would you build your ranch? And what would be the cult uniform?
Uniform. Uniform? Cults.
Uniform?
Man.
I'm gonna be stuck on you. You start. I gotta think about this for a second.
Cults are fun. There is a whole deal that goes into cults. They're not simple things. They're very complex and they're very interesting because they sort of reveal what goes on inside of the human brain and what sort of creates that sort of double think, super think thing that a lot of cults have going on for them. Let's, for instance, talk about the most famous one is Scientology, which is now labeled as an official religion and not just a cult. It's Tom Cruise's and John Travolta's, and I think that George Clooney has managed to stay away. I don't know why he came to mind, but there are all kinds of Scientologists out there, and they're very rich. And you know why they're so rich? It's because the cult is designed to be that way. See, L. Ron Hubbard, we will get in trouble if Scientology finds out about this, but L. Ron Hubbard, his pure whole design for Scientology was to make money. It was a massive scam to make money because everyone talks about how impenetrable the lore of Scientology is and how many just little steps and how many the names of things and the acronyms, and it gets so confusing. And that's also by design. It's so that you have to basically have a degree in medicine in order to even penetrate the stuff. The L. Ron Hubbard designed it so that doctors and scientists and people that were really smart and had a huge capacity to learn were the only ones that could really breach Scientology. So that's a fun fact there. Scientology is probably the most clever business ever created.
So you're saying that for us to make up a fake cult right now, there has to be an underlying goal? There has to be, what is our goal?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, yes, all cult leaders have goals. Whether they're conscious, like L. Ron Hubbard, I want to make as much money as humanly possible by making people think a certain way, or let's take Jim Jones, the Jonestown guy. His whole thing is that he wanted control, and he wanted it. He wanted it more subconsciously, but he made active efforts to gain that control by pretending to be a Christian, because he wasn't a Christian. He may have said that he was, and he may have probably thought he was near the end, but his whole goal in the very beginning was to get a group of people together under his flag. And that was the whole idea. So as far as my cult goes, let's see. What would I, let's skip all the real fun stuff and go into the name. What would we call it? Ooh, let's call it, oh, buddy.
I would call mine the cult of the, well, no, I have to think of the cause first. So I can't think of the name first. I have to think of the cause first. So what is my cause? Well, I'm a piece of poop and I'm a degenerate scum. So maybe my cause would be just get a bunch of people to do each other for no reason.
Sex cult.
Yeah.
Swinger cult. I could get just get a bunch of people in the same room and then be and then make them do no, God damn it, I figured my cult out. Orgies on a twister board. It's called the Four Eyes of Shalgamon, and it's a red eye, a green eye, a blue eye, and a yellow eye. And and how you worship him is you have to have swinger sex on a twister board. You have to have swinger sex on a twister board, and so it's the cult leader goes, and it's there's gothic chanting, and he goes left hand blue, and everyone moves. Right hand red. It's candles. Good lord.
What's the uniform? There is no uniform, Joey. It's a sex call. There's no uniform, Joey.
The uniform is no uniform.
Well, actually, they would probably wear masks like they do in real orgies. Uh-huh. But it would just be red. It has to be one of the primary colors, or green.
So are you going to split them up in houses like in Harry Potter?
Oh, yes! That's the best idea! You are in the greenhouse. All right. Where would my ranch be, though? Where would my ranch... I would rent out...
It's odd that he called it a ranch. I don't know why Joey decided to use the term ranch. Because most cults don't actually belong on ranches. They anywhere but, as far as I understand.
I don't know.
That's a very curious wording. I want to know where you got that, sir.
Yeah, I guess we'll just email
most
us.
Most of them use the phrase compound.
That sounds worse.
It is worse. Like Waco. Waco was a compound.
So my compound, I would... So since I'm a cult leader, I guess I would have money. I would just buy a YMCA. And that would be... that would be,
yeah, that would go over well.
That would Young Men's Christian Association, also home of the Eyes of Shalgahoth and the Twister sex cult.
The Twister board sex cult. What a fun cult. I don't see any downsides to that except for all the AIDS and the herpes.
All the diseases. And the muscle strain.
The muscle
It's
strain?
hard, dude. Twister is hard.
I don't remember.
You have to be flexible to play Twister, and I'm
flexible.
not flexible because I can run fast. And for some reason, that means you're not flexible. I am the least flexible thing on the earth.
Probably stretch.
But boy, I can run.
Run to your cult meeting because you're late, Russell.
Oh God!
You have to go swinging.
All right. So I'm swinging,
Your
Dad.
date on the swings.
Push me, Dad. I'm swinging. Son, why are you here? We need to discuss something. Actually, fun fact. I'll give you a little bit more time to think about your answer. Who's the cult leader in Japan that used like anime to like get followers and stuff?
I can't think of his name right now, but the cult was Shinrikyo.
The cult of like the leader of that cult, he was hung this month.
He was hung this month.
Yeah, because fun fact, Japan still has.
I didn't know he was still alive. I thought they shot him.
No, Japan has, and I learned this when I was over there. Japan still has public execution as law, and it's hanging. It's public hanging, and that is so metal. And they haven't
so metal.
They haven't had to use it in like 14 years because like 14 years ago, there was a serial killer that went on like a knife killing spree, and so they executed him. And so for 14 years they'd never used it, but they finally got the guy that did all that, and they hung him and like 5 of his like closest followers. This month, I think. It was either this month or last month, because I remember reading the story very recently. And so I was like, that's fucking neat.
Shoko Asahara is the guy who is, oh my god, what the fuck is this? I'm sorry, I got distracted because I looked up Shinrikyo and to see Shoko Asahara's name, which isn't his real name, by the way. I don't know what his other name is, but much like Nicolas Cage, Shoko Asahara is a fake name.
His name's probably like Steve.
It's a very it's a much more pedantic Japanese name than that. But then there was like people also searched for and just look at some of these. Like, what is Happy Science?
Oh my, Happy Science. What the hell?
This is weird.
Happy Science, formerly known as the Institute for Research in Human Happiness, is a controversial new religious and spiritual movement founded in Japan on October 6th, 1986 by Ryuho Okawa. That is widely criticized as a cult. Well, I mean, that's the thing, Ian. Religion is a cult. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, all religion is cult, but
I'm sorry guys, but if you're a listener and you go to church every Sunday, if you go to the same building with followers and you believe in something that has no physical evidence and you do weird traditional, well, not weird, but you do any sort of like traditional like ceremonies and stuff, that's a cult. That's the definition of a cult. A cult in the text, a cult in the dictionary is described as a small religion. So what's a religion? It's just a big cult. That's all it is, man. And so, like cults are scary. And when I say cults are scary, people usually go like, yeah, they are. Because they think of,
I think of Jonestown.
They think of Jonestown. They think of people in, like, black hoods and stuff and, like, circles going like, whoa. They think of Gothic Twister. sex orgies. And it's like, when I hear cult, I think of just, going to church every Sunday when I was a kid. Because, it's like, put on the nice clothes, go stand in the pew, stand when you're told to sing the song, sit
You're
down.
in the choir now, Russell.
Oh, yeah, dude, I tore that choir up, dog.
I did not tear the choir
up. I tore that choir up. I can sing. I used to be able to. I've lost a lot of my talents. I used to be able to play piano.
Oh.
I used to be able to sing. I used to be able to dance. And
you were a fucking charlatan showman.
Yeah, dude. I was, and then my parents got divorced, and then everything.
And then all my talent disappeared.
And now I'm a super cynical media critic. Look how far I've come.
Yes. So let's go back into. Are you done with?
Oh yeah, no. I want your answer.
Okay. So I've given it a little bit of thought, and I've decided that my cult's aim is going to be through the highest level of deception. Sort of riding on the coattails of issues of the time, which is how cults get started and really pick up momentum, is they cash in on issues that are present during the time that they were created. So I'm going to do social media. I'm going to have a cult that entirely disavows and seeks to eliminate social media from the world.
I'm in.
Use of the use in the public, use among the group, use around the world. If they could go around to the servers and blow up the servers that hold Facebook, or they could assassinate Mark Zuckerberg, that's what they're going to do. At least in the later stages. They wouldn't start off that way because that's a little too extreme for a lot of people. See, when you've got a cult, you've got to ramp it up. So, first, we would have to think of a name. Something, let's think the Church of Social Independence. The Church of Social Independence. Or the CSI.
You're going to...
Yes. CSI. Are we going to go to the CSI meeting today? No, I don't work for the police, sir.
Takes off sunglasses.
The fake police. Yeah! The fake police. So it would be, the CSI would be comprised of concerned mothers initially. Concerned mothers and their kids. Like, you know how they have like that new kind of school experiment where it's like, you make your own curriculum. It could be sort of like that. It could be like, you could homeschool your kid, or you could let us homeschool your kid, and we'll teach them that social media is something that they should stay away from.
Be scared of everything.
And then I would gather followers that way. So it would be largely comprised of concerned white families and their kids. So it would keep up appearance as well. And eventually, I would just migrate into, and I would have severe punishment for Facebook profile. So I'd have a bunch of people constantly searching for my members on Facebook and Twitter and everything.
They get a 5-minute timeout.
No, they get a severe beating across the back of the head with a keyboard. But because I am the cult leader, and because I covet above all things power, and I'm a sadistic motherfucker, I would then sort of do what all cults do, and I would isolate my followers from the outside world. So we got that first step down easy with social media, which is the biggest hurdle with cults these days, is that people can talk to each other so easy now that it's hard to like breach through. It's hard to not breach through to the outside world. There was a cult, there's what's it called? It starts with the Nemixia or something like that.
I'm not the cult guy, man. I don't know.
I can't. But Nemixia's thing was that they were basically just telling people lies, and they were making them feel that they would break people's self-conscious self-image down, and then they would build it back up again with through their own, so they felt ingratiated toward this cult. But something that they would do is that anytime and they would do the compound thing, so you would come and you would stay in their establishments. Their establishments had cell phone blockers built into them, and they weren't forcing anybody to stay there, but they were keeping anybody from the outside from warning about what was going on inside of these buildings and things, because they were basically just being abused and then brought back up again, and then abused and brought back up again over and over again, so that they could use these guys for whatever it is that they wanted. They would take their possessions, all their money of their relatives, and that sort of thing. Much kind of like a Scientology thing, but a lot more nefarious and a lot less legal. So, but they would use cell phone blockers, and they would cut off all internet, and you couldn't use your phone and everything. So the only way that there was a story about a guy, the only way that he knew that his family actually cared about him, because they would be like, your family doesn't care about you. If they cared about you, they would have texted you. They would have sent you an email. They would have sent you actual mail. They don't give a fuck about you. And then he walked outside of the compound, and all of a sudden he gets like hundreds of messages from his family that's like, where are you? Please get out of this cult. We're worried about you. We're gonna send for help, blah, 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 blah. And I've already done something similar by disallowing social media. So next I would disallow all media. I would take it to the next step up. Phones are the source of all evil because they host the social media. And then I would say mail is the precursor to all social media.
Put your phones in the mailbox and light it on fire.
Yes, we'd have a bunch of mailbox bombs. We would encourage the kids to put dry ice bombs inside of mailboxes like it's the 80s and we're having fun. And then eventually I would just ship everybody off. We could either do the Waco thing where we go into some uninhabited part of Texas and we could suffer there, but I hate the heat. So maybe I would probably go to like Greenland or some like offshoot part of Greenland.
I would take them somewhere where they can suffer, but not Texas. It's much too hot.
No, Texas is much too hot. And then I would take them, and then I would gradually turn it into... I don't know. By this point, I'm probably crazy, as most cult leaders do. They start off kind of okay, and then they go completely mad. So then it would probably devolve into a sex cult, and I'd probably start taking a bunch of amphetamines and good times. Good hypothetical times. But yeah, I think that's what I would do. The CSI, anti-social media cult, and they get flogged in the back of the head with a keyboard if they're bad. And then we go to Denmark or something and isolate ourselves. I wonder what my real goal is though as a cult leader. What would be my cult goal? Would I want money? 'Cause money's pretty tight right now. Or I could get I don't know. I don't really seek to hold powers over other like these cult leaders tend to do. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll make the cult and then we'll see.
Okay.
I'll make the
They show you ruined
the anti-Facebook cult.
That's funny.
Bubbies.
Oh yeah, eventually we'd do an assassination of Mark Zuckerberg at some point, but that just comes with the property.
How hard is it to kill a robot?
All I have to do is unplug it or take out his batteries.
He's like, good night, family members. It's in bed, and then he's like, initiate charge.
And then you just sneak in it. Zuckerberg is no more.
If Zuckerberg dies, does Facebook die?
Who's the next in line for Facebook?
I don't think Facebook has a vice president.
Facebook does. Surely it does. Surely Facebook has a vice president.
I don't think it follows the same rules as the U.S. government, though. Does it?
But it follows a business model, and business models have CEOs and second CEOs. And
yeah, dude, that's why I voted for Trump, because he's a businessman. That's not even something I want to go down
Let's
on.
not do that. No, let's go back to Zuckerberg, that bizarre, unfeeling, strange man. Very strange. He's got some sort of autism.
He probably does.
I mean, you can see it in his eyes. He's like not entirely there, and he doesn't quite know what's appropriate. I think that this roboticism that people meme about is actually just a level of autism.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, not jokes aside, I wouldn't be, because I mean, like, you know, I've been around autistic people of all spectrum levels, and like, it's true. Like, and more often than not, a lot of autistic people are actually quite intelligent.
Yes,
and you know, exhibit the same interests as, you know, Zuckerberg did in college, which was like, hey, I really want to make this website for no reason, you know, just for fun. You know, whereas most people are like, ew, numbers? What are those? I don't know how to computer.
How do you computer? Zuckerberg, he needs to get a handle on things.
Hey Zucker, have you seen that video where it's like, hey Zuckerberg, just eat bread like a normal person? And he's just like, he's like not even like chewing. It's just like, it's so weird.
Now that can't be explained by autism, because autistic people can eat fine.
Yeah, it's probably just him being. I think it's just him feeding it.
You think so? It makes him much more popular online.
Yeah, no,
it makes him much more a topic of conversation.
Sure it's just him feeding it. Really,
man. What must it be like to know Mark Zuckerberg as like a person? What is Mark Zuckerberg like? What does he like? Obviously, he likes Facebook and his business. Otherwise, he would have long abandoned it. He wouldn't have gone through all those crazy Do you remember when Facebook was going through like 1 billion changes a minute? Yeah. Format wise, anyway. Good Lord, that was annoying. I remember Farmville.
Okay,
he really loves Mark Zuckerberg would sponsor Farmville. Man, my mother really did love Farmville. I've
never met anyone that actually played it.
Oh, it was crazy. She showed me her automation system. My mother exploited a bug in Farmville. so the bug was. So the idea of the whole Farmville thing is that it was a massive time sink. So to make it a greater time sink, your character had to physically go to every plot of land that you wanted to do something at and slowly like march over to the thing. And my mother found a way that if you trap your character in like a grove of trees or some hay bales or like just some walls, it won't be able to, but it'll still do the animation, so you can just go. And so she was like super clicking through fields, harvesting like soybeans, strawberries, rye, whatever else, golden apples. Shit got crazy. And I don't know if she spent any real money on it, but it looked like she did. She had like the whole friends, get your friends to join thing, and you get like an apple tree from the Chronicles of Narnia. And stuff like that. She did all that sort of thing.
That's so funny.
I don't think she's touched it in years because it was just too much. Oh man, it was just too much. She got me to play it just so that she could get some of those like fun plants and things, and I played for a little bit. I had like a strawberry field. I had a little wheat field, but it was mainly made for aesthetics, whereas she just like carpet bombed her whole plot of land and planted stuff there. Just like desolation. And then just like fields and fields. And there was like a garden area off like somewhere, but she never looked at it. Facebook games. What was another Facebook game? There was something else. It was Mafia Wars, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What was that? Because I never played.
I never played it either, but it was very strange. I'm so glad Facebook games are kind of like not a thing anymore.
I mean, I guess they're still there.
They are.
I don't think they got it.
No one our age is doing it. I'm pretty sure it's just all older people.
Well, older people are the main demographic for Facebook.
Yeah, this is true.
Fun fact, young people don't like Facebook very much. Instead, they like to use their Instagrams and their Snapchats and the Twitters so that they can post mean things about each other, and then it's easier to get rid of it.
Oh yeah, no, I recently ran for ad director for SIGGRAPH and I won, and during the election there was a bunch of other spots that needed to be filled, and one of them was the social media spokesperson, and like everyone that went up was at least 4 years younger than me, and all of them said Facebook's dead. So, and I was like, ugh, because all I use is Facebook. I use nothing but Facebook. I don't touch Twitter.
I use nothing but Facebook, but only because all the old guys that I'm trying to get jobs from are on Facebook. Everyone else can go away. Political stuff has started to come back onto my Facebook feed. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't like politics.
I don't like it when people bicker and argue about something they can't change.
I don't like politics. I want my white privilege. I want to just be ignorant to politics.
I don't want to fucking see, oh, look at this strong female character facing off against this brutal male example.
Wow, I can't believe how fucking brutalism. Sexist you are, Ian.
I don't want to see some cuck talk about how women should submit to his niceness because he's such a good guy. I don't want to see any of that shit anymore. Facebook, get rid of it, please. I'll give you $2.
I want my safe space, Ian Cabbage.
I want my safe space that is full of actually, there was I saw a news article the other day because I set my phone always to British English, which on this new phone that I got means that that I now get English news. So there was a news story that I got where a university in Scotland outlawed or chose not to establish a designated safe space in their campus, which is something that they've done in other campuses around the UK, apparently, and somewhere that it was a movement that was, of course, started in the most pansy of countries, France. So, what do you think of that? Do you think that colleges should have safe spaces?
No.
I have some brief thoughts on that. So you don't think that there should be any sort of refuge for those that are bullied for being gay, bisexual, black, blah, blah, blah. Because I think that it is actually worse over there in England. In England, it is a whole lot worse. You know, in America, we've got this, you know, everybody has gotten sort of used to the flamboyant gay because of how we've portrayed them in movies and stuff. We're just sort of used to it. Where over in England, I think they still have like a seething hatred for the gays over there. At least in the circles that hate them. It's like even more extreme. But you don't think that there should be at least, you know, a place where they can go and seek refuge?
Well, I mean, when you say it like that, yeah, everyone deserves a place that they can go and be safe, right? Home should be safe.
Well, that's not always true for the gay folks out there.
I guess that is true. You know, bad parents and whatnot. But when you say safe space, it just sounds like, you know, it sounds childish. It's like, oh, this is the corner of the room where you get to stand and not get bullied. You know, like that's what it sounds like. It sounds like and you know, we have a safe space on this game. Why not just make everything a safe space?
Because that's too much effort.
Why? Instead of just hiding from the people that, you know, hate you, fucking fight back. Fight back. It's like, hey, you're a fucking faggot. Yeah, you're fucking ignorant. Cunt. Fight me about it. You know, don't just go like, oh, and like run to the corner of the room, which is, you know, designated. Because then if you start putting labels on locations, it's like, oh, this is where it's okay to be gay. Then you are saying by proxy that it is okay to hate gays everywhere but here. Mm-hmm. You need to instead of just making, oh, this is the corner where you can go if you're getting bullied and no one will bully you. We need to make that everywhere. And it's not going to happen unless, you know, so here's my question. Okay, someone goes to the safe space. What if someone follows them? What happens to the ignorant person that goes into the safe space and starts making fun of you in the safe space? What happens to him?
We sound like a Scottish committee. I have much the same thoughts. I think that safe spaces are being utilized probably in a childish and ineffective way. The whole idea of a place where you can just go and hide from your problems instead of facing it is a valid point. But at the same time, you know, two sides of every coin. If you're too weary from having to fight off all of this hatred that's constantly coming at you, because you're not going to change their mind if you call them an ignorant cunt. You're just going to make them hate you even more. And so it's just going to keep coming and coming. Having a place where you can go and just relax and not deal with it for 2 seconds. It could be a good thing.
You know, and I agree with that. But my point is that why can't everywhere be why is one little spot have to be that? Why can't it just be, hey, if someone's sitting on a park bench minding their own business, leave them alone. Why?
If only it worked that way.
Why do they have to go to the park bench, you know, in this corner of the park to not get yelled at? I think if you start plotting out safe spaces, that just encourages stupid people to like keep being aggressive and keep being ignorant.
We need scientific study. That's what it really comes down to, everybody. Science conquers all.
Speaking of scientific study, just kidding. I can't even think of a segue. We're done.
Oh, I have to go study for my science test. for that college that I'm attending.
Shout out to Joey.
Yes, thank you, Joey. That was very interesting.
Thank you to Joey for that awesome question. Again, if you have a question, or anything really, anything you just want to tell us, if you just want to put poop in the email and send it to us, I'll read it.
If you want to draw what you think we look like, I know that our pictures are sort of on our little banner, but I don't know. Do something.
If you just want to interact with us in any way, shape, or form, email us at bubbiespodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, bubbiespodcast@gmail.com.
Again, happy Friday. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you also have a great weekend of R&R, role play, and relaxation.
And we'll see you on Friday.